Hello, NgHouston. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm Bonnie, and we have a great show tonight. I want to introduce to you my co-host, Bjorn. Say hello, Bjorn.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? Good weather out?
And I've been envying Bjorn because he has this cool green screen thing going on. And so he actually had to come over here and help me set up my green screen so that I could be as cool as Bjorn. So internet high five there, Bjorn. Thank you very much for your
Here's
help.
what we forgot, though. We forgot to take
cool.
all that Instagram fame and make some pictures of our progress. So that's next time.
We should have done that.
Yep,
We should have captured the moment. Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually really excited about the show tonight. I'm excited about the topic, but even more, I'm excited about the guest because we have a super cool guest with a super cool name, Kate Skye. Welcome to NgHouston. How are you doing?
I am good. Thank you for having me here. Hi, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm happy to have you here. So this all started on Twitter. And you tagged me in a tweet, and we didn't know each other, and you tagged me in a tweet, and I was just tickled about that. And it was something. Oh, what was it? You were responding to somebody else's tweet. Something about who would you want to have dinner with, or something like that.
Yeah. It was. You have to click the first person that comes up when you select @ symbol, and your name came up, and I'm like, yeah, cool. That would be so awesome if I would meet her and talk to her about, because I watched your videos with Sam, and I just loved it.
Oh,
and I do
because you also have daughters.
I have 3 daughters and 2 sons.
That's amazing. and so you're trying to get them into programming too. And so and I saw your tweet, and I was like, oh, I love this girl already. So we had a hangout and we chatted, and I thought you were super fun, and I convinced you to come on NgHouston and teach us some stuff. And so, and I really appreciate you doing that. So today you're here to teach us about Angular components. So we were talking a little bit about NgRx, and I was telling you that there are a lot of beginners that are watching NgRx, or I'm sorry, that are watching NgHouston. So NgRx is such a cool topic. I love NgRx, but also NgRx is something I think that's easy to misunderstand and abuse for people. And so we kind of talked a little bit about like when to use NgRx, when not to use NgRx, right? So is that kind of what you're gonna talk to us about?
Yeah. So I implemented NgRx on my current project where I consult, and obviously I love it. It's super cool. It gives you so much power, but I was also warned by you that I could teach somebody who does not have experience with NgRx and maybe take some baby steps to get to NgRx eventually with their application. So that's
because I think so many people, because this is one of the things I think it was like Ward Bell did a talk a year or two ago, ask your doctor if NgRx is right for you. And this is something even Mike and Brandon, who wrote NgRx, have been starting, they've started to talk about like, hey, NgRx is not necessarily right for every project, because and I mean, I love NgRx, right? Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great library, but it adds complexity. And so you have to make sure that complexity is justified. And so that's a little bit what we're talking about. And so then where does this talk come in? Where are you coming into this conversation with your presentation tonight?
Yeah, so actually I love Mike and Brandon as well. And, their famous question or statement is like, yeah, you don't need NgRx, and then they go into it. So it's kind of coming from the same place, but I wanted to set a foundation of how to get to NgRx if your application grows too big. So I want to talk about writing clean code, because I love clean code and kind of obsessed about it. So just giving some tools on how to achieve that.
This is a girl after my own heart, because I really definitely have a soft spot for clean code. So I can't wait. Okay, so let's share your screen and jump into it. And by the way, we have Eugene Skye in our chat tonight. I've never seen Eugene Skye, and now you're Kate Skye. Is this a coincidence? Who's this Eugene guy?
I wonder who this Eugene guy is. Hi, husband.
There we go.
Hi, Eugene. Welcome to NgHouston. We're very happy to have you here.
Yeah, he's my #1 fan, right?
Of course. As all things should be, right?
Okay. So actually, I'm going to talk about cleaner Angular components and adding container presenter pattern and how to kind of plug into your application that pattern and how to take a big giant component and kind of break it up into smaller presenter pieces. I have some reusable code, and that is my goal of this talk. So let's kind of go into my next slide. Hopefully it will switch. Okay, so I just want to identify the problem right now, and so the problem is with when you write an application, you encounter a code base, legacy code base, and you see these giant mixed concern components, and you are far away from adding NgRx to it. You want to take a look at how you can improve this code and take it step by step, kind of, because as Uncle Bob says, even bad code can function.
I love this picture. I feel like there's
function. So we're going to take an application, we're going to break it down into smaller components, and we're going to see how eventually adding NgRx into it and having observables kind of flow into presenter components, and how it's hopefully will solve our problem.
I love this. I love this picture.
This is a picture of some foolish man.
This reminds me of a cartoon character going, "What incarnation?"
So the container presenter pattern, it's kind of a known pattern to those who've been working with Angular applications. But for somebody who just starts out, they start from top to bottom and they write this huge HTML template and TypeScript component code, and they just keep adding and adding, and you end up with huge components. So we want to kind of break it down. So that's the solution. I'm convinced that it's going to help have cleaner code. It's like do you want your kids to have clean rooms, but if you don't provide some kind of closet space and containers to put their stuff in, it's going to be messy. So that's kind of where I'm going to take this forward. So as you see on this slide, I kind of made this get started guide at the bottom because I think it's a good start, but it's not going to have any structure to your application as it grows. And
yeah, go on.
So NgRx kind of at the top, it's like a cherry on top of your pie, right? It's great to have in the big application something that has multiple modules. You have lazy loading. You can lazy load your feature state, and it's great to have. And I really enjoy working with it, and I have implemented it. But first, as you start out, the rule of thumb is to break up your application in smaller pieces so you can reuse components, so you can have clean code. So when somebody comes in to adjust the code and make modification or add enhancements to the application, they're not scrolling through pages and pages of code. So container presenter. RxJS is also another library. I want to just mention it. I will show how I'm using it in the container presenter, kind of like in the basic way, how you would take a list of observable items and you use async pipe to to display your data. So there's going to be a little bit of that. And just before you would introduce state management with NgRx, a lot of people talking about having service with the subject, which I will kind of show how to pass data in an observable way, but I won't have an actual service with the subject, but it's just kind of like a little glimpse of how to implement it. So but one step at a time. Let's clean up the room first, and then we're gonna add other things to our application as we grow. So as the application grows, you would add extra things to it. So let's talk about the container. So container, when I think about a container, my analogy is as a parent, I'm the boss of the children, right? I am the top level component. I know how to interact with teachers at school. I know how to order dinner. I know how to buy groceries. So I tell my children what to do. they give me feedback, and I decide what to do with the events from my children. So container is some of the rules of how to use a container. It's a top level feature component. It interacts with all the API services. It will pass the data to child components via inputs, and receives events from the child presenter components via the outputs, via the event emitters. And the container would decide what to do with those events and how to pass the data. And I will have example on that in my demo.
Awesome.
So the presenter, these are your dumb components. So my analogy here is, so my children, basically, they know how to set the table. They present to the table, but they don't know how to, for example, maybe make a Thanksgiving dinner, or they don't know how to order food. So they receive the presenter components receive the data from the parent, and they just know how to make it pretty. They kind of, so my child will tell me, hey mom, I set the table, go ahead and call other people to the table. So all the decisions are deferred to the container component, and you can reuse those components. And in my analogy is, if you know how to set table for dinner, you're gonna know how to set table for lunch and breakfast, hopefully.
Exactly.
And the presenter, like I said, they don't know, the presenter component does not know anything about stores or services or selectors. And we're talking about smaller applications here. We're not talking when you have like nested components. When you have added complexity, you have other top level components. It's going to be without having some kind of system of how to share state, it's going to be very difficult to just have container presenter and that's where you stop. You don't stop there. So it's like, if my husband has to come for dinner, does he just keep checking like, hey, is dinner ready? Is dinner ready? No, you're probably going to have some kind of system. You either send the child to call him down for dinner, or you send him a text. So the communication changes a little bit as your application grows.
More push than pull,
that's where the presenter kind of the responsibility ends there. So, and hopefully when you follow this pattern, the solution that you end up with is you have cleaner code and your components are smaller. You follow this, the solid principles. You have some kind of single responsibility. You abstract the logic from your components into a service, or if you go with NgRx, then your effects take care of all the calls to the APIs. The actions are raised from the container component. And so the internals of NgRx, I don't want to go into it, but basically, if you do have to add complexity to application with NgRx, it's cool. It gives you a lot of power, but start small and create clean code by using container presenter pattern. That's my ask. That's my goal when I write my applications. So I am going to go into a demo, and before I do, does anyone have any questions?
No, it's pretty clear so far. I like the analogy you have. Yeah, shows.
I love your pictures, and I love your parenting analogies. Really, yeah.
Yeah, the parenting analogies are awesome.
This speaks to me.
Yeah, the dinner part with the husband as well.
And her husband's watching and putting emojis in the chat, which is just great.
I can't hear anything. What is going on?
Sorry, what?
She can't hear us?
No, she can't share or can't hear. I'm not sure. Hello?
Oh, no.
Oh, well, we have a little technical issue here, ngHouston. Don't worry, as she fixes her microphone. Let me just grab this there and see if I can. Oh, where's my
I can't hear you guys. What is going on?
Don't worry, Kate. We can hear you.
I'm panicking for nothing. So, but I can't hear you guys. So let me see if I can switch to my computer instead of my headset. 1 second. Let's see.
Let's see if I can if we can intervene here.
Mouse. Can't see my mouse. Well, the worst thing, guys, is I can't hear any of you. So hold on, let me see if I can.
Explains a lot, doesn't it, Bonnie?
She might have. You know what happens sometimes is I did this when I was presenting on Angular Air because I'm used to being a panelist and I just sit there and heckle people and I don't actually have to do any work. And then when I did my GraphQL talk and I was actually presenting and I went live screen on my presentation and then I couldn't figure out how to get off of it. So
exactly.
then I was nervous because everybody's looking at me and I'm like, no, I'm not used to being the speaker on Angular Air. I'm just used to like hassling people. So
things are bound to go wrong when you're live.
Yeah. Something happened to my headset. I didn't, because I lost the sound for a second. Now I can hear you, but I don't know what happened.
Can you hear us?
Yay.
Okay, good.
I can hear you.
Yay.
Okay, so
I to my headset. I just disconnected completely. So I was just talking to you a bliss. Did you hear everything I had to say?
yeah,
we
heard everything.
Can you sit a little closer to your computer, to your laptop?
Yes.
Everything was fabulous until you said, "Are there any questions?" And then it all went. Yeah, we have lots of questions.
And then I'm like, why can't I hear any questions? What is going on?
There we go. Yeah.
It's okay. It's fine. You're doing great.
Now,
that was those. I think that was a really good explanation. And now you have code to show us.
Yes.
Which I'm very excited about. And this is a Stack Blitz demo, so people can actually see this and follow along, which I love.
This is my GitHub repo, so it's gonna have the master branch with I think working demo, and there's some branches that we'll work on now. So
I love this. Can you
awesome.
Can you drop a link to that into the chat so that we can share it with people watching and they don't have to type that?
Absolutely. I just have to find the window where I need to do this. Okay, over here. All right, here we go. Oh, my headset just.
Eugene says he can hear you. He can hear us. Your husband is very supportive.
Thank you, husband. Okay.
Works fine this way. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, Kate, and so is Eugene. You guys are adorable.
How's my audio? Because I think something just switched again.
Yeah, it switched, but it's not bad. It's good. Yeah.
Bjorn has very high standards. Don't worry. As long as Eugene and I can hear you.
I'll admit. I'll be the one that pushes for the best quality. Yeah.
Hold on.
Don't worry. So
I'm going to try to fix this because it shouldn't be like that. Because I can hear it in two places now, for some reason.
You might need to mute.
Yeah, I'm gonna mute my Bluetooth.
Yeah. Okay. Don't forget, we have people watching and they want to see your code.
Yes, I know. I'm so sorry. Okay, guys.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You're doing a great job.
Can you zoom a little bit?
I think so.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
So I started out with Angular 9, just created a new app with Angular 9, and I kind of took all of the CSS from it because I didn't want to go too much into styling. I just wanted to show how I want to clean up this code, right? Because I think the only thing I did was I moved the CSS into a separate file, but everything else is the same as it comes in with a starter app. And I kind of made a little candy shop here with a little card at the top to demonstrate kind of like a simple app of shopping experience. You have a list of items which you can add to your cart, and at the bottom here, which is usually a terminal, there's going to be just items kind of added to it as you click on each button. Nothing fancy. And if you look at the top, the number of items gets incremented. And at the bottom of the cart, you can click on it and we'll delete it. So nothing doesn't have a lot of interaction, just kind of three different things that are happening here. You can add, you can remove, and you want to increment it.
I'm quickly wondering. I'm wondering now, the options for the shopping cart here. Is this your kids or is it your husband?
Oh, it's my kids. They love kids, of course. Yeah, when I was looking for the names of the candy, my kids hovered over and they're like, "Mom, what are you buying? What are you buying? What is this?" Because it had pictures next to them.
Way to captivate your audience. I love it.
Okay, so there are not many choices, but they're all favorites. So what are we gonna do here? We're gonna look at this code. I'm gonna work in VS Code when I refactor this, but I just want to take a look at it first. Actually, let me go into VS Code now. Okay, so this is, no, so the top part here, can you see it well, or should I zoom in?
One zoom could be good for the YouTube viewers, but I can see it pretty fine, yeah.
I don't even know how to zoom in here. How do I zoom in?
It's on view, the view tab.
Kate, your husband is a hoot. Not only is he very supportive, he's funny. He says, next app, liquor store.
Good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is good. This is perfect.
All right. So we are looking at our app component here, and our app component has the top piece which is the header. So which has this little div here with the total, and I made a little cart looking thing with some classes here. So that's the cart you saw with incrementing number, and we have a hard code list of these candies. Obviously nobody hard codes lists in their shopping cart, so we're gonna extract it into like a small component and pass in data into that. So this piece right here could be a separate component, and we are also going to take this div here, and we're going to refactor it to another component. So we're going to try to take these 84 lines of code and minimize it, clean up, make nice clean code. So let's get started. Hopefully, let's see. So I'm going to. Let's see what I'm going to do here. So I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create all of my child components first. So I'm going to use Angular CLI to do that. With all the beautiful shortcuts. So let's see here. ng. So what I like to do is I like to put reusable components into a separate folder, just so it's not like all bunched up in just one folder. So I'm going to create a folder called components, and I'm going to use header for the name of the header, and I'm going to use another one for list and another one for cart, and then we're going to start moving the code. Okay, so we got, let's see what's looking here. We have the header. I'll do list. Okay. Come on. All right, and the next one is going to be cards. All right, so let's go back to our HTML. Let's grab this piece right here. This is going to be our header component. Control X it, go to my header, paste it in here. Oops. Let's see. So I need, so when I'm looking at this total, I know that I'm going to need a total, which is going to be passed into my component via the input. Okay, total number. Okay, let's import this. All right, so now we have a total. Let's go ahead and add it to our container component. So we're going to say header. All right, so now we have a header. We didn't pass the total in yet, so let's do that real quick. I am going to just say total for now, but we will change it later for something else because I want to show how to make this, how to use observables with displaying some of the data. but let's real quick take the card. I don't think we need this. This is leftover from Angular. So let's see here, card. Okay, let's take this card container. Actually, I don't need the whole container. What I actually need is I need one of them because we're gonna make 4 each here. So let's go to for each ng4. Okay, so let's go to here. Close our div. Okay, so let's see here. So we need to do ng4 on this component. And I remember, since there's a style for this car container, I'm going to make another div here. Okay, just so it's okay. So we're going to do collect candy. Now we're gonna get a list of candies here. So candy of
I'm sure your kids will like that.
Okay, so here we're not gonna use the hard-coded item. We're gonna use our candy from the list. And on click, since we're adding it, we are going to pass the item that we are adding. Okay. So let's go to the component and let's.
Kate, don't want to interrupt, but your screen seems to have been frozen.
Oh, okay. Should I restart?
Bjorn keeps us honest around here.
I tried to.
Should I? Let me restart. Stop.
Yeah, I think that's best. Just restart it real quick. Yeah. Don't worry. This is StreamYard's fault. This is not your fault.
You're doing great.
Okay.
I was telling Eugene in the comments that I know you've practiced this because real-time development is never this smooth. And you're just like, okay, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. It's like, yeah.
Okay.
It always looks so easy.
I know. It takes some practice, but that's okay. So let's see.
Yeah, now we're back. So quickly to reiterate, because the screen got lost when you were changing the click function right there for the candy. Yeah, so right there, that's where we left off for the view, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So right here we had a hard-coded name of candy, so we were passing a variable into our event. On click, it's going to execute this function. So right now, what we don't have in our TypeScript code, we don't have this list, we don't have this function. So let's go ahead and add it. So we want our presenter component to have an input. Okay, our input is going to be candies. Let's call it. We're just gonna just do. Okay, and it's an array. Okay, I think this is good. All right, so now we need an output. So we know that it's going to emit an event for adding items to a cart, right? So let's do so presenter component communicates with container via output, and output is going to be an event. So I just go shortcut. Let's see if I can do a shortcut. And let's try this. I want to go a little bit faster.
No, wait. VS Code thought it was smarter than you, but it imported it from protractors instead of Angular.
Yeah, thank you for noticing that. Actually,
this always hurts so much.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So we're going to create a function that's being called from the template. I know that this function is going to pass me a string. So let's do candy string. And this is where we're going to communicate back to our container component. We're going to say this add event.init. We're going to pass in our candy in here. Okay, I think this component is ready to communicate with the parent. Let's see if we can plug it into our container here. So we can get rid of this whole piece here. And we're going to say, let's see, I think it's called app list. And it takes, and it has, we want to pass in a list of candies, and we want to set up the event. So we listen to the event that comes back from this child component. All right, so we call it candies? I think so. Candies. And so this is how we're going to set up the input, and the output is going to be add event. And the way we set this up is we call a function, and in order to receive the parameter from that function, we need to pass in an event from this call. So this how in our app component, our add function will receive this candy, and we're going to change this later. So let's just do one more, and then we're kind of going to tie it all together, and hopefully it will all work at the end. I know one thing, I'm going to just really quick copy the CSS into it. Let's see. Just so we don't have to do this. All right, just so it looks nice when we come back to it. Okay, so we have one more left, which is this terminal. Terminal is going to go into our cart component. So let's just move it up into cart. And this here has a list, okay, and a remove function. So let's just add to our cart component real quick our input and output. I just want to work a little faster here, so I'm gonna just copy paste stuff from here. All right, this is actually the full syntax of declaring the event emitter here. Same thing, this is the input, it's gonna get the list, and remove event will emit the event back to the parent component, and we're gonna add a function here where we emit back the index. And if from this HTML, we're just gonna remove by using the index of the list. And I also have a kind of counter next to candy, so that's what this is. All right, so let's see what we're missing here. I think I'm gonna add CSS to this real quick. Hopefully. Okay. Let's see, our header is input.
Oh, did you see that body? That was so fast. The whole CSS just got written so fast I didn't even see it.
Yeah, see how much CSS I can write with the blink of an eye.
So good. I wish I was that fast.
Yeah, all the CSS is just I just abstracted out into separate files, so it
Awesome.
It compiles with the CSS encapsulation for each component. Otherwise, it's going to stay with app component, and it's just not gonna style any of these components. So let's see. So we removed our cart. Let's add it back into it. So, and let's see, what do we have here? I know our cart has a list. We called it a list. That's fine. The cart has a list of items. Maybe it's not candy. Let's call it cart items. And it has a remove event. And our remove, it's going to be handled by a remove function in our parent component. And it's a parameter event. Right? And let's see here.
I think your VS Code did it again.
It's stopped again.
Yep.
She doesn't need help, VS Code. She's got this.
Just let her do her job.
I'm just getting so excited because it's really hard to find women who do programming, and sometimes we find women who are beginners. But Kate's over here like dropping. She's talking about view encapsulation like it's nothing. Not only does she have a cool name, she actually knows what the hell she's talking about, and it just brings me joy. And I'm just sitting over here going, yeah.
Well,
You
thank
can
you so
see
much,
Bonnie
Mike.
just
So nice to
enjoying.
hear. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Could you quickly
Don't let it go
restart
to your
the-
head, Kate.
I do hear a lot of women get kind of, they're scared of programming because they think it's so complicated. I'm like, no, if I can do it, you can do it. Trust me.
Yeah, and they see girls doing technical talks and actually teaching stuff that's just that the boys are talking about, and it's very empowering, and I love you for it. And this brings me joy. Rock on with your bad self. I'm going back on mute so you can focus.
Keep
Okay,
doing
guys,
it.
am I up on the screen right now? You can see everything?
No, unfortunately, the VS Code has decided to
Oh, it
not
was
work. Yeah.
because it froze again.
Okay, let's see it again.
It can't keep up with the awesomeness of Kate
I
Sky.
guess. Yeah, it's only in the paid plan that you can do that.
Yeah, for some reason.
Only Eugene can keep up with the awesomeness of Kate Sky. Everybody else, yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
So guys, so let's go back to, so now we have all of the, so this is our presentation, our container components, and these are all of our presentation components. They get they're all of the data that they need to display, and we wired up the events to those components, and now we need to plug it into our container component so it all works together. So we kind of have a list here, and that because it was hard coded, we only had a list for adding items and removing items. So I'm going to make it a little bit fancier and introduce some of the concepts for having observable variables, observable list of items that you would normally get from a service. So your app component would get it from like an app state service, or if you were to add NgRx, it would be your selectors from NgRx. Or, like, I know not everybody likes facades. I call them app states, but I like facades because you don't have to import everything from NgRx. So I would get it from a facade service. I know some people don't like to call it that, but that's fine. Let's just concentrate on.
I love to call it that.
Do you?
You tell those people I said.
Well, I know. So right now we have a list of candies that we want to, let's go back here. So right here, our app list has these list of candies. Okay, so let's just create a variable that will hold a list of these candies. Okay, so let's see if I put it in the wrong spot.
I love that she's extracting all this stuff, because when she's done with the candy app for her kids, it's going to be so easy for her to turn around and swap it out for the liquor app for her husband. And then, they won't even know that she's like reusing all this stuff. It's going to be great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Work smarter, not harder, man.
Exactly. Think about it a little bit, and then have to work.
Yeah, this could have been just items. Then you don't have to be, stuck with candies. So we have a list of candies. Okay, so now hopefully it will go through our NG4 and it will generate it. But let's take it let's take a step further. Let's make an observable out of it.
Just a second.
Yes.
Because I think VS Code did it again.
Oh no.
I think there might be something wrong with StreamYard here. Yeah.
I might be switching too fast. So let's.
Shouldn't break it, but yeah, maybe. Well, I'll just keep you posted when it goes wrong, and it works, right?
Yeah. Let's go back. All right,
here
we go.
Yeah.
Actually, it's good it froze because I copied this list into the wrong component before.
I saw that, but
oh, you did?
No, don't worry about it. Go on.
I was hoping you didn't. Okay, so here we go. So I want to take this step further. I want to make an observable out of this list. I'm going to decorate it with a $sign because that's how we would like our observables named. And I'm going to make an observable with using the off operator from RxJS. Okay, it did work. All right, so let's see how we're going to apply it to our presentation components. Let's go back to HTML. So this is where the magic of reactive programming happens. So we're gonna use our async pipe. So as Deborah Crata likes to call it, we want to use async pipe so we don't have to unsubscribe from our subscription. So this is where we're gonna use Candy's $async pipe. So now our presentation component will get a list of candies, and let's go back to our component here. And the next step I want to do is I want to make the other list kind of an observable list too. So right now we have this list, which is I'm going to make it a private because I'm going to expose a different list for our cart items. So I'm going to create cart items list. Let's see, I'm going to make an observable out of that. And I'm not just gonna, I don't have a list of that. So what I'm gonna do, I want to tell my presentation components that, hey, something got added to the cart items. And the way I'm going to do that is with using the behavioral subject. And this will allow me to kind of demonstrate how you would take your application from subscribing to data from services and how you can create properties. For example, you have a service, and instead of trying to subscribe to events coming back from the service and displaying them that way, you're going to create a behavior subject, and you will report back to other components that, hey, something changed, like get the updated changes. And you can take it one step further and make your presenter components actually use on push detection strategy to unpush. So you kind of making a contract that, hey, Angular, I am only going to change my whole object when I'm sending the items. It's you don't have to just check the whole tree. Only when the object is different, then you can update the components. And the way I was going to do that is I'm going to keep my list private, and I'm going to, when something is added or removed, I'm just going to say candies.next. Oops.
Nope.
Not candies.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand though. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Next, yeah, I want to use my behavior subject, and I'm gonna put my list here. So kind of in two places, the same thing. So this actually creates a new reference to the cart items. So when we use it in our template, we can also do the async pipe here. All right, so what else can we do here? So now what's not going to work, I know for sure, is this total, because we don't have a total property. So how are we going to implement this? Let's go ahead. I know that our total depends on this cart items observable. So we're going to take this and we're going to go like this. And we know that at the beginning, this might be, maybe now, I don't know, shouldn't be, because I think let's see, what's the initial value? Probably not going to be now because we're using the behavior subject. Yeah, so we're actually setting the default value here. So we don't actually have to do this brackets. We can just do that. Well, okay, so in order, I think this is why I was going to use brackets, is because in order to use the property on the array that is piped out, is you have to put it in the brackets. So I'm going to go like this. All right, so let's see. By just looking at it, let me think what I'm missing.
I think you're good.
I think it could be good. Let's just.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, let's walk through the thing. Okay, it might work. Let's see. Let's do ngServe. Let's see if it's gonna bomb out or if it's gonna work. Hopefully, it's gonna look the same as the previous stack blitz. Let's see, where is it?
StreamYard stopped.
See when you.
I'm sorry. I'm just a messenger here. So I'm just your reactive stream telling you when it breaks.
Well, but it's
We need
also,
to get Bjorn a hat that says "I'm just the messenger."
I'm just
It's
a
not my fault.
messenger. Yeah, I
No
can help
worries,
it.
no
I can help
worries.
it.
it's good that somebody's monitoring it. Otherwise, it would be like I'm talking into a bliss here. All right, so this is
We're on the edge of our seats, Kate. You're doing great.
Okay, let's hope it's gonna work. All right, so it compiled successfully. Let's go ahead into our demo here. I'm gonna bring it here. Okay, so we have the same list here. Let's go ahead and add it to our cart. It's adding. Our cart number is changing. It's working so far. Let's try removing it. And yes, it's removing. Yay!
Live coded on screen. So proud.
Yay.
I never doubted you, Kate.
Not even a second.
Thank you guys for your support. I'm so happy it worked. Okay, so I just want to go really quick back to the code and back to my pending changes. So quite a few changes you see in pending to be added to my refactor 2 branch. But let's take a look at app component just to wrap it up. I mean, we took 84 lines of code, cleaned it up nicely. We have 18 lines of code, plus minus some spaces. We could probably make it a little smaller. And what? I mean, now it's 80% smaller than previous code. I think it's good. Like if my kids clean up the room, make it 80% cleaner, I'll be so happy. I think this is a success.
Beautifully coming back to the original analogy. I love it.
This is great.
Yeah, it is.
I love it. Kate, that was a very good that was such a good demo. I really liked it a lot, and I really like you, and I really appreciate you coming and showing us this.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here, and as you know, I was super nervous, and I think my nerves kind of came down, so it's a little better.
That's good.
I mean, everybody is. Are you done with the? Can we take off the screen share?
Yes, please. I'm done.
I mean, I have to tell you, everybody's I can't say everybody, but I can say it's very normal to be nervous. But you know, programmers don't care so much about that. They care about like what you're teaching them.
Show me the code.
And I really have to say, and we, you know, I told you we have a lot of beginners on ngHouston, and you have really given them all something to strive for, because this was amazing. And I would not have known if you didn't tell us that you were nervous and that this was your first time. We would not have known that. I'm serious.
Actually,
it was great.
Kind of totally agree with that. Like you were telling it beautifully perfect. And normally we talk about this off stream, but let's continue now. What I really liked in your demo there is that you went for the async pipe and didn't even consider subscribing manually, because that's opening yourself up to so much trouble. So beautiful example. Love the refactor there live, which is, you know, that takes some guts. So yeah, and super cool demo. I loved it.
Awesome.
It was very good. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing your Angular debut on ngHouston. It was really great to have you. And I think I speak for all of us when I say you are welcome back here anytime. If you ever want to come back and teach us more cool stuff, we would love to have you. So I hope you come back soon and often. And that's a wrap.
I'm sure we'll see plenty of you around. So.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much, guys. I'm so happy.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere
Thank you,
after.
Kate Sky. All right, y'all come back now. You hear?